All right, do y'all want to go ahead and get started? 30, 20 seconds early? I'm military, so that means we're 20 seconds late already. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off and then I'll pass it off to Gwen. So welcome to our presentation about the course design book and how we do design at Texas Wesleyan University. We're a team of 5, including Ed back there in the back. He's our coordinator. And Texas Wesleyan is a private university in Fort Worth, if you don't know about us, and we have a smaller, smart approach on campus. We have a smaller student body, smaller classes, and we really capitalize on that. I'm Jessie McDowell, the director of CETL, and with me I have Tim Whiting, Casey Miller, and Gwen Williams, and they are our magnificent trio of instructional designers that we have on our team. Unlike other universities that we've heard today, we have all the hats. I wear all of them, so what you see is what you get. However, if any of the areas that we talk about, whether it be design, professional development, AI, and otherwise, if your offices have overlapping responsibilities with ours, we'd love to chit chat with you. We're very collaborative. I'd love to get some partners going. So to us if you're interested. All right. On slide 3, if we're clicking there, sir. Go ahead, click. So today we're going to be walking you through our course design process and how we got to where we are today, a little bit of lessons that we've learned so you don't have to, hopefully. The presentation, I'd love to hear about how your course design processes differ, if that's what you do in your office, and lessons that you've learned as well, because we can all learn from each other instead of reinventing the wheel every time. In our course designs, we do strive to provide a consistent design experience for our faculty. We have practical tools, a standard way that we communicate, and we have very clear expectations to make sure we're all on the same page. Through this process, we really enjoy helping faculty see the creative opportunities that side of curriculum. Sometimes this is a teaching moment where we can teach them, best practices. Other times we're a thinking partner to help them get stuck with certain habits or things that they're used to doing all the time in their courses. So to get us kicked off is going to be Gwen Williams.
As Jessie said, we are kind of the one-stop shop at our place. We do all the course designs for our online programs, and sometimes even face-to-face. We do trainings and teaching strategies. We teach all the LMS Canvas stuff, and we also support on any tech tools that faculty want us to try and teach. So we kind of wear many hats, and we've enjoyed it. Kind of the history, I the longest at Texas. When I first came in, we didn't do a lot of ed. Everything was in-house. We met the face-to-face faculty and that kind of thing, and did a lot of pedagogical things like that. And then we started, the university just started to outsource and do a lot more of the online courses. So we were kind of an assistant to the faculty. We basically built it in the LMS, and they told us what they wanted. There was a lot of disjointed, there weren't templates, there wasn't a process. So then they decided, oh, we'll outsource it. Well, that became very expensive. The faculty didn't love it. It was really hard for them to update and make changes because somebody else did everything. So we looked at it and planned, and we put in some policies in place, because before, the faculty didn't do a lot of buy-in when we give them suggestions, and we'd say, oh, you need to do alignment, all right, you need to do that, because we didn't have any policies in place. So we went through and put policies for distance ed. The deans bought in, the provost bought in, and so we've got a lot of buy-in with our faculty. They take our suggestions and know that we really want quality courses. So that's really helped us. So that's kind of how we evolved into the one-stop shop at Texas Wesleyan. We strive on something that surprised me the most. All of us were educators. We from K-12 education into higher ed, and faculty are subject matter experts, but not necessarily teaching matter experts. And so they weren't sure on how to do engagement strategies and those kind of things. So the importance of course design really important for them to grasp onto, so that they could see that students need some continuity in their courses. They need, within programs, there needs to be some things that are streamlined and that are done the same way, and those kind of things. So they looked at that, and the policies and procedures that we put in place helped. And those policies and procedures, they do some application processes. They have to think about SACs a little bit more. They have to anything that is online has to go through our department, if it's an online course or if it's a hybrid course, that online component. But what we found with the relationships, as many of you have talked about in your presentations that we've been to today, we're like those faculties, they're coming to us for their face-to-face classes, for all those other, and saying, hey, my online class looks really great, but my face-to-face needs some stuff. And so we've kind of really built those relationships and bridged them where they do it with us. They'll come back for reviews, but they're teaching a class and things didn't work. They're saying, this assignment did not work with my students. How can I make it better? And so we're getting a lot of collaboration with our faculty, and it's been a real positive experience for all of us. Kind of the way we organize our designs is the design is they fill out a form if they want to create an online program or an online go through it. The provost has to approve it, and then it goes to our director, and then she assigns it to one of the designers. And then we, with the faculty member, just like many of you do, we have a meeting with them, a kickoff meeting, and we talk about, okay, what are your course objectives? You know, we talk about alignment, we talk about processes, we talk about our policies, and we set up a timeline. Most of ours take 1 to 2 semesters. We like them to finish it a semester early so that they can kind of look over it and make sure they do it, because we don't have, you know, somebody to teach it along with them. So we want them to look at those, but sometimes it doesn't happen. We just go with whatever we have to, just like everyone else does. The way we organize it is we do everything in Microsoft. We're a Microsoft school. So in our organization, we have an authoring tool that Casey will do in a little bit, that they kind of have to go through, and they put everything in a Word document so that they don't have to know everything about Canvas, and it's not quite as intimidating for them. We've created a Canvas template for our online programs. We build a sandbox that basically stands as our master course, so that if we have an adjunct come in, we have something we can give that adjunct that's finished and a quality level course. And then we build everything in the LMS. We use Planner within Teams to kind of organize when things are passed off to the designer, those kind of things. Our communication, it kind of depends on the faculty member. We use Teams. Some of them like some of them like weekly meetings. Some of them only want things in the comments. So, you know, you have to get to know your faculty, talk to them and say, you know, how do you want me to communicate? Because we want it to be a positive experience for them, and it doesn't be the way that's comfortable for us. So that's kind of how we go through it. And then we look at that compliance piece where, did you get your stuff approved? You know, has it gone through the right department? Have you looked at your time on task? You know, do your assignment, everything, does it follow what SAC says has to be for your 3-hour course or your 4-hour course or whatever it happens to be? So those are some of the things that we look at as we start our course designs at Texas Wesleyan.
So being new on a team, this is probably the most exciting part, our authoring tool. So it's such a neat experience to come in and see how we design and how we kind of feel this conversation, this guiding document. One of the new professors I'm working with this summer into a design for the fall was just like, oh, well, that answered my question. Oh, that one answered my question already too. Yeah, just go to the authoring tool. It's all there, I promise you. Like she said, we're 365. So we use Word as our authoring tool. It is all table. So then it's hyperlinked. We use a navigation system, as you can see down the side. That navigation kind of has the guidance language for them. It gives them an area to click where they need to go. So if I started working on module 3, because that's like my love project in the middle of this thing, I can start on module 3. I just click on module 3. It's going to hyperlink me down to the right place within the document, because these do get long, especially as their engines kind of get muddled through all in there. But I also can link a previous course that I've taught. So that it becomes very communicative, it becomes very iterative, because then we can come back and go forth and really communicate effectively in the tool. We do have a separate one. This one's pretty much what we 15 to 17 minutes. But we also have one for hybrid, and hybrid is going to have basically just a table split. So it looks a little bit different, but this is going to be the face-to-face portion. This is going to be your online portion, so that we can kind of see that the planning is happening in both places, and how do they collaborate between spaces to make that really rich instruction happen. Even though we're not responsible for the face-to-face piece, it still allows them to have that space to kind of have a thinking partner, and it kind of changes the trajectory of the process of us just being the people who design it and really being that partner to think through, learning together, kind of creating that partnership and co-creators in that space. We use the review features, comments, track changes, version history, and then we also have all kind of a different way of doing it, but we use color coding. So green means go, it's there. So then you could quickly scroll through and figure out where you're going. Yellow, hey, stop here, caution, like where are we going? Those comment features, you can just tag in the professor, then they know. And then we also use SharePoint. When you go to SharePoint, it allows you to track when they've made changes to the document. So I automatically get pinged because I'm working on several designs. And so I need to know who's actively working in their space and who's ready for me to jump back in, because we do have a 2-semester policy where they can come in and work through that design over time with us. So they may be in finals, I know it's here a couple weeks. So it just kind of depends. So again, the goal here is to reduce friction as much as possible. It's giving them a space, but also providing that guidance on the side as well. So that's our authoring tool. I think it's probably my favorite tool in the whole toolbox that we give them. So when we have to get started, before the authoring tool ever comes out, or if the toolbox gets out to them, we have a kickoff meeting with the me. And that is really the space for all that to kind of figure out what it is that you are hoping to get out of this. And so before we can get to the tools, it's how do you like to communicate? I've got one he's got a little Teams channel with me, and he loves to plan at night. I tell him he goes mute at 5 and on weekends. So you plan to your heart's content. I'll see you on Monday. And he's absolutely fine with that. Super collaborative, but I know that's the way he wants to communicate with me. I have another, don't send me anything that's not on Google. Well, we're not a Google entity, but sure, why not? So send him over. Here's a shared account that you can come in, pull your material. He works at he's an adjunct, and he's working full-time institution where he can't use any Microsoft products while on his work time. And so if he still wants that collaboration space within work hours, because he teaches after hours, he still has that availability to work with me and collaborate with me. And so it's all kind of working with them. And that's that whole the kickoff. Yes, there's a timeline. Yes, we talk about deliverables. Yes, we talk about goals, but it's really talking about how do I work the best to help you? Because then that's really going to be how we trigger the rest of the design process. And of course, we walk through the tools. A little important. So I think this is the part where once we've kind of kicked off, it's okay, now I'm ready to start putting something in. This is the part where I think I've learned the most in the design process with our faculty. I'm actually going to start on one. I don't give them the Canvas course at the very beginning, because then their target is in 2 places. And I find that they love to just jump in, and they have no idea what they're doing. And they're very confused. That frustration happens, and then just momentum is just dead in the water. Now you're having to step back and go, no, go back to the authoring tool. The authoring tool, everything that you need in it. And so then that kind of light bulb moment comes back on, that communication process can come back on. But we've just learned, not yet. We'll hold off on that. And you've got some professors who want to be in space with you, and you're going to learn those people over time. But that initial stage, it's much better to give them one place. This is the stop shop for you to go in, put your information in, communicate with me effectively, and that can kind of kick off that whole process. Liquid syllabus, well, I should say, go back to the content creation. We do have specific roles because we are kind of everything for everybody. And so just defining what does that role look like and sound like within this process, because yes, if it's under 30 minutes, I will shoot your technology problem. I can run across campus if you want me to meet face-to-face things. But if my time needs to be spent in the design with you, and we've got a shortened timeline to be able to get this done, I need to know what my role is, and I need to communicate that with them, because that's kind of my job. But their job is to be that subject matter expert. My job is to be the designer. And so making sure those roles are defined, they understand what that looks like. And then where do they want us to step in? And they get to be the deciders of that, because maybe they do want a more thinking partner. I've got one, I want it copied and pasted exactly how I have it in the authoring tool. Do not make changes. You can make a suggestion in a comment. I'm gonna, you know, everybody's been there. And then others who are like, yeah, chat GPT that, like make it better. This is the general idea. I don't have time for that mess. And I know you'll do a better job. It's fine. You know that piece. And so it's all just kind of depending on who that person is on the other side. And that kind of makes it fun. But they're the initiators in that space. I'm making sure they know that that's a possibility, but I'm not going to push that on them. That's not my agenda. My agenda is to get your course off. And so we have to kind of work through that. But I think that's a good place for us to make sure that that's online. Liquid syllabus. We implemented that as a pilot, I guess, year ago. It went into, faculty voted for that in the fall and have adopted it. So it's gone into full implementation spring. And so that one's really been an amazing place for them to not have to reiterate their syllabus every single time. Instead, all of their course policies, diversity policies, things like that, they're going to be changing rapidly. Actually go to Student Hub for all students have access to it. So those changes can be done live right then and there and not have to update the instructor's syllabus. And so that's been a real great process. They've got a lot of good feedback. And then, you know, there's always the people who don't feel so confident about it. But those go in our course copy and they're automatically copied to new courses as new courses go live in our LMS. Yes. Sure. So basically what it means is that it lives in the syllabus page. So we've got the full template. Am I not standing close enough? Okay, sorry. Yeah, it's a full HTML template that's got all of the pictures, all the sections, the hyperlinks all embedded already. So they're doing specific course instructor policies. And then they're also putting their course or the office hours and, you know, their individual pieces that align directly to that course. So it's a little bit more flexible because then it can follow them as they make a course copy. It just follows to the next course and they just have to update what information because those university pieces are all done in the Student Hub. Mm-hmm. Yes. Online. Mm-hmm. And then all they have to do when they're ready to submit it to academic affairs and all that for approval, they just right click, print to PDF and send it on. And so they don't have to do that extra step. Yeah. So no more downloading, uploading, get back to Word, is this the right one? Did I label it in the right place? Did I put the right one right there? I've got copies in here. Which one is it? All of that's out the window. It's now just a live, oh, I have a typo. Let's just change it and save. So they're really liking that. Strategies, we do make sure that they have, for all of our online hybrid, we have a template that we share. So a lot of those things like APA, citations, what does that look like with your AI, all those different things, we have that kind of language in there that they can just utilize and go right into the design for us to into the design because it makes it easier on us too. So communication is something Gwen I talked about. The main thing that I would say here is consistent and keep it concise. They don't read it. They're going to read it. And you know, again, if the whole point of this process with us is to be that thinking partner, it is to be that person on the side to make this easier, is to remove barriers. Our communication should be doing that well. And so just kind of thinking through some of those tools that we use. Again, we have the authoring tool, we have email, and they to decide how far they kind of look. But then we also use some internal processes as well, which we'll talk about in the next section. So any questions on that part while he gets ready?
All right. Let's see if I can multitask and click and talk. All right, so we're doing, let's look at our timing here. All right, as we already mentioned that most of our designs are going to be about 2 to 3 semesters to design it. So we pace that out on purpose. All right, and I'll tell you that the director is great about making sure that we have that pace, and that when a dean comes and says, or professor comes and says, hey, we need to put this online next week. We're like, no. So we make sure that we have that just because it balances our workload and for theirs as well. I know that I've heard of other situations where professors, masters might not have to just do design. We don't have that system. And so we do at least 2 to 3 semesters out. If need be for certain circumstances, it might be a little bit quicker than that, but for the most part. So really a lot of it is how do you track and how do you maintain that time? So a lot of the tools that we've already about are the reasons we do that. The authoring tool is just a good really pace it. You can work with the professors to say, hey, look, let's get to this point by this time. And that tool really does, using color coding, like she said, green means go, we're done with it, put a comment in here, track those type of things really helps with the timing as well to make sure we stay on track with that. We mentioned the planner, and the planner that we utilize is actually called Plan, and it's in the Microsoft Suite. And the nice thing about that is that's more of a communication for us, all right, not necessarily with the space. But that helps us to stay on track, for our director to know where we're at and things, that we can track it on there. And if you ever use the planner, one nice thing I like about it is actually there's several different ways to look at it. So you have all the same information, but you can look at it as a block, you can filter out, so you can just see what's for, I can just see my lines and where it's at with those, or for different types of designs and those things. So we also, with that, each of us have our own personal systems. I like to draw a race board with index cards I can move around. Casey is doing a post-it notes, so she's got all these little different colors and what have you. So we each have, as you guys know, have all systems, that you have for your own personal piece of that. And then, of course, updates. We do, within our department, we do a weekly update as far as our course designs go, just a little one-liner says, hey, this is where I'm at on each of these, or nothing's happened, that type of stuff. But then also the updates that we have, obviously, with if I'm active in a design and they haven't responded to me during the week, Friday, I'm letting them know what I did. And that usually makes them go, oh, maybe I should tell them what I did, or maybe I should do something this weekend, right? So I'm just having that weekly back and forth, especially when we're into the middle of the design there. All right, but the main thing is sticking with the timeline. But like we've all been saying all day long, there are times you have to be flexible, or there's times that you have to kind of adjust for this or that, obviously depending on their workload, our workload, et cetera, et cetera. Talk about some obstacles. I'm going to tell you, we've only ever had 3 obstacles ever come up in all of this, and I'm lying. What I'd love to do as I'm talking about some of these obstacles, I'd love for you to kind of think in your head about some obstacles you've seen. So hopefully, time allowing during our Q&A, we'd love to get some input. Like you tell us what obstacle you've handled it, that type of stuff. So just be thinking about that. The main one, of course, I think is a big one is this SME availability. So that might be their availability to meet, might be based on their what courses they're teaching, those things. We like said, till 5 o'clock. We have adjuncts that they work until 5 o'clock somewhere else, right? So just flexible with that a lot of times. Worked with a gentleman, like Casey was saying, that actually he has a full-time job and then he does his teaching at night. So we had to be real flexible about when we meet and when we get together with him. So the big obstacles there. Workload for the SME, but also workload for us as well. And that's why we pace out those designs to make sure that we're not overloaded, so that we can give good quality work. And then communication designs, or communication delays, right? We've all been good. It's all happened, right? I love that one that, I'm sending this stuff, they're not responding, but then I go and look at the tour and they did everything, right? They just don't like to respond back, and that's fine. But having those different ways to communicate what the best way to do and those type of things, so. And we've already mentioned some of these ways to handle that: constant, consistent communication, being flexible, meeting them where they're at. And then, of course, with anything with the timing, I'm a big time block person. I've already got course design time blocked out for, the next several months. Beginning of the week, I just figure out where that's going to land, because of different things and what have you. So. All right, so we've done the design, we've done the kickoff, we've done all the process of it. We're to the point everything is just perfect, we're ready to go, right? So the first thing I like to do is, once we've gone through everything, I just get with the SME and I say, okay, let's just take a week, go from top to bottom at some point in time and just check everything. You know, I'm going through like I'm actually just clicking through each button. I'm checking links. I'm checking the format, checking the videos are in there, those type of things, because it's been since it's been a semester or longer, and I need to make sure, you know, I forgot what was happening, right? And so just kind of a beginning to end. With that, the time on task, I think a lot of us have some sort of a calculator, right? We've got the same thing, you know, the spreadsheet on steroids type of thing. And so I'm through there to kind of just make sure that, you know, we've been working all this, what type of adjustments do we need to make, et cetera. So, and then we do a designer feedback card with another designer. So then I pass off what I've been working on to one of our other designers, and they go back and check it out. I'll show you that here in a second. But they go through, they kind of see where we're at. The main things that they're looking for is objective alignment, accessibility, consistency, higher levels of learning, and really just looking at that timing as well, the requirements for that. Once that designer back that information to myself, then I look at it with the SME, okay, these adjustments, these changes. If I can make changes without having to tell the SME because it's something that, you know, maybe a grammar or something like that, I just go ahead and take care of that. So this is the designer card that we've created. I'll go ahead and tell you that this card actually looks very similar to the reviews, our course reviews, our OER reviews, those type of things, because it's about uniformity, right? So that if you see it one way, when you see it differently, another way, you still have mentally, you still have of that acceptance. So over on the left there, those are the different categories we're looking at, kind of an overview and info section, technology and tools, design and layout, content activities, interaction, and assessment and feedback. So it's kind of broke up in those categories. You'll see in that feedback card, it's just an easy check mark. If it's present, it's there. We just check that box. If it's a minor, the print's really small. If it's a minor edit versus a major edit, those are obviously things that somehow need to be addressed, and that's where the notes section is there. Okay. And then myself, I usually take those notes section and put it kind of like a checkbox form under the larger comment section, so the designer knows, hey, I'm gonna go through here and just make sure these are all in line, all lined up. So we got that piece done now. That's review with the designer. And now we go through with make sure everything's taken care of, adjusted, whatever we did, and now we're done. We're wrapping it up, put a little bow on it. So we send it off to our director and to their supervisor, usually the school, to say, hey, everything's in place, check it out, let us know if there's anything else. And usually let's go ahead and prepare it for course delivery. Like we said already, it's created in a sandbox. And so now this time we can now put it into their course and implement it.
We are almost done and ahead of schedule. Thank you. So some lessons learned. We said already make it concise. I think we can all agree with that. The very first iteration of our authoring tool that we showed you, whenever I first got hired at Texas Wesleyan, wall of text empty. It was 40 pages long in Microsoft Word. I hated using it because I had no idea where I left off. And if it sucks for me, it sucks for them, probably. So the more concise, the better, which is why we landed on that table format where just click in the box, put your information in there, and you're good to go. It was hard to see in the screenshot, but we do have at the top of each module in the authoring tool a goal date. So that way it helps them kind of space it out, right? Depending on the overall timeline, we have 1 or 2 semesters or even 3 for that design. We do use the collaborative comments. We found out that it's way better in most cases than going back and forth in emails. It gets lost and, you know, they didn't see your email somehow. These collaborative comments are great because you can just tag each other. You can highlight the specific text. So in the email, I'm not saying page 99, halfway down, like that other part, like just highlight, comment. And of course, you can do the same in Google and other document editors. We had to understand that every instructor is completely different and they need different levels of support or pushing. depending on how they work, kind of like what Casey was saying. Sometimes blind, never done a design with them before. I'm sure y'all are familiar with this process. I'm getting some nods and some smiles. And you just kind of got to figure it out the first module or two. And sometimes you're like, oh, I can just let you run with it and you're good. Or let's have some weekly meetings. It's important to demonstrate various planning patterns that are available. And Casey alluded to this too. If they have a project that's their baby that they're so excited about, or they're like, I can't think chronologically through a whole semester. I need to think about objectives, and then I need to plan my assessments backwards from the final and then go in and fill in all the information. I don't care, right? A lot of times, because the document itself is laid out in a chronological order, because in Canvas, the modules are in chronological order, they assume that's how they have to the design. I didn't ever communicate that, and it took me a long time to realize that that's an assumption that they have just based on the layout of the document. I really tell them, I was like, no matter what, order you want to go in, that's completely fine with me. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. So instructional designers, as Tim said, we also have our own approach. On the authoring tool, I shade the row green if it's been built inside of our LMS. If there's something that's missing, I'll put it as yellow. If it's something that I have like a concern about that we need to go back and look at together, I'll do it as orange. If it's not applicable, I'll do it as gray. So I'll build a couple of modules, life happens, dean meetings, provost meetings. I come back to it weeks later and I'm like, where are the crap on this whole scroll, color stop. I was right there, right? It's a very, very easy way to track your work. The picture up here on the slide may be kind of silly, but another lesson learned for me was getting a copy and paste 2-button little keyboard on the side. I'm a very fast typer and keyboard shortcuts are not a problem, but this actually still saves me time. And it's cute and it's fun, but it makes it a little bit less arduous. But if that's a annoying thing for you to look at the keyboard and do all the shortcuts a lot of times, get one of these bad boys for $10 on Amazon. It will save you a ton of time. Small takeaway about quizzes. We were manually entering every single quiz question, all the item banks, and of course, multiple choice. You have basically 5 things you're copying and pasting, wearing that little keyboard out. And so after a while, we had to say, you know what, it's not effective use of time. We are a small team. We service the entire campus, not just a certain school or department. So we decided to use the Get program, and there's other ones like it out there, but basically it will format. You can copy and paste. It can be a Word document. It can be in between platforms. It will pull in the questions, even from publisher platforms. It'll format it correctly, and then I can just do import straight into Canvas, and it's all formatted beautifully, no matter the question type. That's been a massive time saver for us, and it's one of those things where yeah, it costs money, but also so that is time and our expertise. So you got to kind of balance that. All right, next. So just to basically summarize everything, we have our kickoff, we have our authoring tool where all the work happens. After the design is done, we do an internal review, we make ours, and then they're off to be free into the sunset. So after we are working on our designs, and we have gone through several changes, even in the last year and a half, you have to look at what works and what doesn't. Of course, I know you guys do that already. I found that changing one thing at a time is most effective. You can change the authoring tool, and then I usually wait 1 to 2 semesters, and then I look at the team and I go, okay, good, bad, what do we think? And then we're like, well, I liked this, but not that. Okay, we tweaked it, wait a semester. Okay, what about Planner? We were using other things besides Planner, and it wasn't working out. That's okay. The main thing for me is it was a group decision, because if it worked great for me, necessarily mean it's going to work great for my team, and we're all in the same projects. So perfect one thing at a time. All right, here's where we want to know about your processes. How are they different? What struggles do you see? Love our authoring tool, which you should, because it's just a work of beauty. Email us up there and we will share anything and everything you would like from our process. We're happy to share it with you. Or if you collaborate on anything in the future, Texas Wesleyan is where it's at. What questions do you have? Or none, that is the day of the day. No. Sure. She wanted to know why I was the best director ever. And
All right.
the question was about the authoring tool and basically how it landed on our current design. The one that we had before, like I said, was a wall of text, and it differentiated where we were in the planning process based on different colors of light. So you had 6 different colors blasted all over these 40 pages. I didn't know where they were inputting content, and neither did they. So as a designer, I wanted an easy way to visually tell which module am I in. Are you able to go? It's going to take a little bit, but so we have the bar along the side for us designers mainly, where I can very easily look to the side and say, oh yeah, I'm working on module 3. So that's the gold on the side and then the blue on the side. It says 1 1 1 1 1 2 2 2. So I'm very, very easy knowing where I am. Color coding also so I know where I am. We did have more lengthy information. So that first column where it has some text and it's like course objectives 3 to 5, Bloom's verbs such as blah blah blah. I literally have on here in like red, I'm like, do not use the word stand, right? And we just get that right out the gate. So we didn't go into a long soliloquy on all these, but at least the bare minimum that we thought were the biggest stumbling blocks for people. And then we know our faculty and their level of tech savviness or lack thereof. So just in the box, typing in the box seemed to work best compared to some other things we've tried in the past where you're replacing highlighted text or using other tools besides Microsoft Word. If they've never seen Microsoft Word or Google Docs before, they should probably not be teaching. And at the very top of the screenshot, where it's like darker blue, we have modules listed out and they're all bookmarked within the document. So as far as the navigation that you're talking about, at the top of every module, you have the previous one, you have the next one, and then back to first page. So we built in that navigation because especially when you're designing and you're like, oh, I need to start on module 11 today, and you keep scrolling until it's lunchtime and then you take a lunch break, it's not real effective. So hopefully that kind of answers your question on the design of this document. Um, this was probably maybe the 3rd or 4th version of this that I made. The color coding per module and the 1 1 1 2 2 2 2, that was later whenever Gwen and I were looking at it and you're like, oh, 47, what module am I on? The colors are basically starting out as our school colors, and then I just vary it as I can module to module all the way down the side, so it's very easy to see. I'm assuming they're talking about the shading colors as far as yeah. Yeah, so oh, Jane, is that what you're talking about? Okay. Okay. I was like, it's different for all of us. I use green if I have already built it into Canvas. So if I'm opening this Tuesday morning, if it's green, I just skip past it because it's good to go. If it is yellow, then maybe I'm waiting on something like they just didn't like objectives and they just decided not to fill in any, then I'm like, okay, I'm waiting on this, and I'll put a comment and I'll tag them. Orange is objective that understand the basics of math. I'm like, okay, we need to talk about that. Or maybe there is some input that I wanted to talk about with the faculty member, and then I'll tag them in a comment. Gray is our NA, basically. If there's some comments there where it does have a block for textbooks, it does have a block for additional readings, it has projects, it has quizzes, it has discussion boards. Each one of those is a row. So if I don't have a project or a discussion board in this module, I'm just making it gray. And again, that's for me visually when I'm going through, or I'll have to be like, oh my gosh, where's your discussion board? And they're like, about this 2 weeks ago, there isn't one. So that just helps me know what to expect.
I'm not sure if y'all can hear me or not, but I just want to say thank you so much for explaining this because I am a very random abstract thinker and this kind of forces the organization. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Welcome, 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 welcome.
I think it's cool. We're kind of moving into we're smaller groups, so we're moving. How did you get them? How did you get them to process? When you working with y'all on this school and kind of training? So I've got here right now just come to us do something and they try to spend a little time. They don't like if we showed this to them. I'm trying to wrap my head.
Right. He also wants to know why I'm the best director ever. So this is more so the faculty buy-in piece of this is what he was asking about. And to be very clear, this is course designs only, right? So if they're wanting a general consult on something else, we wouldn't whip this out all, however many 18 pages of it. We establish this as part of the process. We talk about it in our kickoff meeting, say this is what you will be doing, foot stomp. We also have the buy-in of our leadership as well. So I think it's a lot easier for them to fall into this, so to speak, than the previous one, because you can look at it and it's just clear what you need to do. Also the fact that we don't give them access to their Canvas sandbox right away, they kind of don't have anywhere else to work. So they usually just work on it in here. And by the way, using this with AI to scan for alignment and stuff, the best thing ever. Yes, we helped them build the first module. Yep. It's case dependent. Some people take ages to fill this out. And so I'm like, for my timeline, I'm like, let me show you what's in here already. Go ahead and look at what's done in the sandbox. Other people that like Casey was alluding to, they're like, they get used and then they'll put some information inside of Canvas and they put some information in the authoring tool. And I'm going based off of my shading and my colors I put in the authoring tool. So now I'm confused. I'm like, did I put that in there? That doesn't look right at all. That HTML is really jacked up. Then that's going to, confuse everybody in the process. So I think it really depends on the professor and their proficiency with the technology. But for our sanity, usually the later they test, the better.